Hello, hello. All right. So, basically, video game systems used to be heavily curated by the companies that made the consoles, and Sega identified games that they wanted on their systems, and for a variety of reasons, developers were okay to have Sega port their games to their platform, but they didn't want to publish it themselves. So Sega licensed and ported a ton of games, many some arcade games, and brought them to their 8 and 16-bit platforms. And I started doing a live stream last week. My last video was on essential NES games made by Nintendo. There's so many NES games that I thought I would split it up into multiple videos. And the problem is YouTube tends to promote your most recent video. And so I thought I would do my video and then have like a live stream later on of the games that I edited together. Well, in doing so, most of my views come from YouTube promoting, showing the video through impressions. Impressions are people who get suggested a video by, YouTube is the big matchmaker. And by doing that, by doing a live video after the same day that I published a edited video that I spent a week on, it completely deeply affected my reach of my previous video. So I decided it doesn't work well as a dessert. It works better as a appetizer. So I decided to record a video, do a live stream on Wednesday, and then usually Thursday and Friday I edit my video together. So my next video is Reprogrammed by Sega, games ported to Sega by Sega, and Capcom had a ton, and so that's what the next video is about. I thought it was a little weird that Strider was ported, it's obviously it's by Capcom, but it was programmed by Sega. So, also I had a, last week I streamed and I use a great piece of software called OBS, Open Broadcast System. I think that's what it stands for. But that's primarily the video capture tool or software that I use to record video. Some people who do retro video game YouTube channels will use emulation. And emulation is not a dirty word, but I actually have a Elgato video capture device. So, ooh, I didn't know you can get up there. Okay, so you have to kill this guy, or else he'll mess you up later on. Yes. So, I like to hook up an actual video game system to my capture device and record like that. Here, but I do use emulation. Sometimes I use my RetroPie to capture, sometimes I use my Retro USB ABS. I started using a Hyperkin clone console when I started doing my video channel. So, but man, I love Strider. I love the Genesis version specifically. It just blew my mind. The animation, the flipping, the jumping, the ninja flipping out. You know what? I don't know if it's 100% canon that he's a ninja, but in my head canon he definitely is. Yes, got the power-ups. So, I am actually using my analog pocket right now to record this. I'm trying to get around those bombs. I love this. This is sort of steampunk before steampunk. I mean, was really popular. It was probably a thing in the 80s, but not really, at least I didn't know about it. Let's see. So, I made it to the battleship. At least the outside of it. Come on. Sound effects in this are so cool, but weird. Like, I don't know why that makes a Steam. I don't know why Strider. Oh, jeez. Makes, the Chinese girls that have powerful blade kicks, got me. For a reason I don't know why your blade goes slow when you slice down here. Oh, the girls. Oh, you girls. Ah. And my cat just walked in front of this. Whenever I record, I swear, he lives for this stuff. Okay. This is my cat, this guy. He is the ton of fun. He's got to be the center of attention. And every time I record audio, he wants to be a part of it. Every time I record video, he wants to be a part of it. And so, I don't know if anyone thinks that I, like, intentionally put him in, but he puts himself in there, and I just intentionally don't take him out. But he comes with the territory. Let's see. 2 ninja kung fu kick girls. Ah, that is just embarrassing. Okay, now I will finally end this level. You don't even have to kill them. I think all you have to do is take out the pilot. In fact, I think I'll do that. Yep, slice you. Oh, I guess I do have to take them out. I love the acrobats. There we go. Ooh, I have someone watching. Cat-like. Strider is great. I've never actually beaten it. A lot of times, a little bit of luck with a boss move. Why does it makes a train whistle when he drops down? I don't know. That is, you know, I do have also on here the people that ported the Strider arcade game, you know, the CPS version. But like I was saying, sort of my thesis of the next video is video game consoles aren't as curated as they once were. Sega in particular, the Genesis is now looking like it's this incredible success, but it was Sega was the underdog. You know, the Genesis was effectively their third console. First being the SG-1000, second being the Mark III/Master System, and neither of them were particularly successful. So Sega really needed to have a home console hit, and when it came, and the Master System didn't necessarily connect, and my cat is currently behind my monitor. You know, it was a very minor success to, I mean, the people that had Sega loved it in the US, the Sega Master System, I mean. Oh, I forgot it. There's the Panda Bear. There's a cute little Panda Bear. So many hidden stuff. Okay, then I have to climb and do the little flips. Flip, 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 flip. Made it to the top. So, on the list, totally not inspired. You know, I think that might have been before RoboCop and Ed 209. Love these little steam whistles. Love the piano. Gonna make it into the gravity. Oh, I guess I didn't make it. I should stop jinxing myself. But the great thing about this is it's an arcade game. It's got arcade difficulty, and you have unlimited quarters. It gripes me when there are arcade games that are brought to home consoles, and they keep the arcade difficulty, but they limit the amount of quarters, virtual quarters, that you're about to put in, which is dumb, because I figure that, you know, I bought the game, I should be able to put in as many quarters as I want. Okay. Oh, this blew me away as a kid, the gravity control room. Yeah, and that just blew me away. Okay. Let's see, down here, get the kanji power up. I also have questions about his sword. Like, is it, what is it? Is it a circle? Is he just swinging it so fast and cool? How can he attach like that? I guess he's, again, ninja awesomeness. And here's, we want to avoid the dudes that the, pirate captain is, beating off his old, well, trying to fight off his old men. Let's see, 0 drop frames. My previous stream, I had some pretty bad dropped frames because OBS was set up for recording. It wasn't set up as broadcasting. So I guess I'll play a little bit of this and then maybe switch to some. Oh man, I did get no. Oh, and then the mushrooms. Ugh. The key to do that is you just gotta run. Now I'll do it. So, the Sega Genesis version, or / Mega Drive. The home 16-bit Sega version. I love these girls. They like Ubelix or something like that. Ukabutz double. It's incredible. This is 8 megabits, which is 1 megabyte. So, to put that in perspective, the thumbnail, every single second is digitally richer than this entire game. The Sega, you know. So, I mean, the Sega arcade game based on the CPS-1 hardware, based on a Motorola processor, but it's still nowhere near as powerful. And plus, it's not just the CPU; they actually had other stuff going on. So they did have quite a bit. Oh, that's just insult to injury. The piranhas. All right. The cat-like. Did you see the cat? I have my cat right here. Let's see. Continue play. Nah, I think I'm going to go. Let's see. On my list, I got Ghouls and Ghosts for Sega Master System. So before I go to Ghouls and Ghosts for Choplifter, that was another game that they ported. I'm going in the wrong direction. Ghouls and Ghosts for Master System. That one down there, reprogrammed by Sega. They actually made this after the 16-bit version. So, Ghouls and Ghosts, the Dai Makamura series. Interesting note is I believe the Famicom version of Dai Makamura, one of the first games to use a memory mapper chip. So, and I turned into a duck. So, Nintendo is now perceived as cute and cuddly game company that makes family-friendly software. But in the 1980s, they were brutal. They were, you didn't know that as a Nintendo fan, but they played quite hard, and there were some, monopolist. Well, yeah, Nintendo was accused of some monopolistic practices. They did get to 90-something% of the, 95% of the American home video game market, and they didn't do it by being nice. And one of the ways that they got that is by sort of strong-arming third-party developers. Oh, shoot. Basically, in order to publish games, to continue to publish games on NES, you had to play right by Nintendo. Oh, man, those guys. And, pick an item. Red armor. Sweet. That's not, I don't think that's in any other version. So, one of the things that could get, very nice. I love the 8-bit version, but let's actually, I'm thirsty for some 16-bit action. So, Sega wanted to get games on their hardware, and on their platform, and companies like Capcom and Konami were making too much money. Ghouls and Ghosts, I was talking about that. Making games for NES. I mean, NES was 95% of the market. So, but Capcom had the 16-bit games that were not going to work well on regular Nintendo hard, or, you know. So they had 16-bit games. Sega had a 16-bit system. They had 16-bit arcade games. And so I guess one of the things that Nintendo would say is like, you know, they said you can't have the same version of the game, I guess on practice level. You know, interesting that is the default difficulty. I'm going to reset and then do the normal, which is hard, basically. Yeah, professional. I'm a glutton for punishment. So, technically, Capcom made an NES version of Strider, which is a new game inspired by the arcade game. And the actual arcade game was, ported by Sega. So this gave them, deniability. So they could tell Nintendo, oh, that's Sega's the one that did, you know, we licensed it to them, but we didn't actually, we made a unique game for Famicom/NES, and the actual version that you get was different, and it was pretty cool because they actually did make Strider for NES is a very different game. And when Sega was doing quite well later on, the market was basically too big to ignore. Capcom wanted some of that, and Capcom and Konami wanted some of that. Sega not just licensed, but they actually wanted to get their actual... Oh, and I got the duck. So they complied with Nintendo by making new original games for Sega hardware, and so that's how we got Contra Hardcore and Rocket Knight Adventures and other awesome games that were wholly new productions made for Sega hardware. Ooh. I don't know if anyone's watching this. Let's see. One watching, but that's probably me. Ooh, yes, I'm a glutton for punishment, and we'll go for the sword. Why? Again, this is technically the first level. I don't want to sound old, but these kids these days have just no freaking idea how hard older games were. Don't know how you do that with the holy water. The holy water, you have to get the powered up armor, and then when you hold the button down, you can have like a super attack, and it's specialized based on whatever the weapon that you're holding. Again, really, dudes? Really? Could you not? Guys move at diagonals, and I can't attack them when they're in their spinning form. Great, didn't even get there. I love this game, but I suck at it. Well, hello, Apocalypse Minister and Matt Kitts. This is on professional difficulty. Let's see. Let me pause this. Let's see. So in my next video, it's going to be out this Saturday. It's called Reprogrammed by Sega, Games Ported by Sega. Sega wanted some games on the Genesis Master System so bad, they made the ports themselves. And so I am including, let's see, Strider for Genesis, Ghouls and Ghosts for Genesis, Ghouls and Ghosts for Master System, Double Dragon for Master System, Mercs for Genesis, Forgotten Worlds for Genesis, Golvelius for Master System, Tetris for Mega Drive, Art of Fighting for Genesis, Cyberball, Choplifter for Master System, Choplifter for Choplifter for SG-1000, Darwin 4081, for some reason they made a port of that, World Heroes for Genesis, and Popful Mail. Let's see. I know how to use it. It's just impossible to do that with the water. Been liking your videos, especially the Famicom games, to get in some myself. Yeah, it's funny. I used to be known as the local video game stores. I found out that they used to refer to me as the Famicom guy, which is an entirely realistic thing to say because I was one of the only people. I like Famicom games to find out the differences. Okay. Ooh, yes. So I forget what the power up for the sword is. Yes. So I don't want to get too cocky because you have to always be on the dodge for these flying skulls. It's cute and it's cartoony and it's Again, technically still the first level. Oh, and then the puking pig troll things. You know, they bounce and then they just vomit, which is awesome. Okay. Okay. Of course you got me. By the way, I take requests. If you want me to play any of those games on these lists, as long as it was brought to Sega hardware by Sega themselves, let me know. Yeah. Okay, are you using real hardware? Not for this, but I do have real hardware. I do have a real Master System. I do have an SG, or a power-based converter. Actually, I have two Genesis systems, a power-based converter and an actual Master System. But for this, I'm using my Analog Pocket. So, FPGA. Analog Pocket. So, let's see. I guess I'll go down my list. So I did Ghouls and Ghosts. Some Double Dragon for Master System. I feel like some of that. Double Dragon. And so Double Dragon, again, I sort of feel like Sega brought some of these games out that they wanted to show up Nintendo. And Double Dragon for... See, it said right down there, Reprogrammed by Sega. So they brought out, again, Violence Against Women, right there, in the opening seconds, and neon hair and everything. So, I like the Double Dragon for Famicom/NES, but the Sega version, you have all of your moves, 2-player simultaneous, and arguably better graphics. So, I don't think Sega did the 16-bit version of this, but by Lord, they made the 8-bit version. No screen modes. I wish there was some for the Open FPGA for this. Again, I should actually punch and kick guys instead of being all fancy. By the way, is that, you know, is that a Rickroll? And like, is that Rick Ashley? Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down? It is in my head canon. I mean, of course that. Yes, and the adobo breaks through the wall. And I think her name is Linda. Thrown by an adobo. I love, look at that, his red eyes come across. You know, Double Dragon 2 is quite impressive on the NES. That's probably my favorite Double Dragon game. Of course, it's weird how related Double Dragon is to Kunio-kun games, both made by Technos, but you know, the Renegade, or I should say hot-blooded Kunio-kun, then turned to Renegade. Let's see, you guys gonna come out so I can beat you with a barrel? Not the best collision detection, but whatever. Let's see, what's the chat say? You say, is Rick Ashley? Yeah. Hence the term Rickroll. It's hard to do decent commentary and play video games and talk at the same time. And my cat. Let's see. Analog is a great company. I call some of their products, but they're not necessarily I mean, technically anything that's not made by the original company is a clone, but again, you know, it is FPGA, and they do really strive for accuracy. Alright, do some adobo. Yeah, their shipping costs and availability. I actually made a video that is currently my reason why I'm like currently like super hated on the Reddit for Analog, because I made a video about their I think I called it like cyberpunk busted pre-orders. So I recorded myself in front of a green screen talking about how like cyber hackers were selling Analog Pocket pre-orders, the limited edition, which is, it's fine that they did the limited edition, but it's like there's a couple things that I disliked about that. I mean, they weren't selling the regular colors at the time, so it made this fear of missing out where people thought that you had to get a limited color. At least now they sell white and black. Love how even on the different version of the game, the enemy is dumb enough to walk into their own dynamite that they threw. I just sub, brother. Thank you. There was this other dude that we both started doing retro video, you know, around the same time, but he had like twice the subs that I did. And I asked him what his secret was, and he's like, dude, live streams. You have to do that in addition to your videos. Let's see. Ooh. Is that game over for me? Let's see. So analog, again, sorry for tapping the mic. So let's see, I went through Ghosts and Goblins, Double Dragon for Master System. Now I guess the next one is Mercs for Genesis. So everyone, say hi to my cat. This is this guy, or guy. He's a big fluffy jerk face. I just walked him for an hour. I just fed him, but you know, of course, he wants to be in on this. I wish they made a cheaper NES version. You know, Matt, I'm a big fan of the. You know what? I'm going to take a pause right there. I haven't even started the game. A second. All right, Matt. This bad boy right here is my retro USB AVS. What? This message is held by review. He's fat. Yeah, he actually is. He is, well, okay. So technically, you are, you know, when he was a kitten, I gave him all the food you're supposed to because he's a big growing boy. And, so the vet kept fat shaming him, saying it's like, he's overweight. Like, okay, fine. Yeah, so what I would recommend is a retro USB AVS. It's FPGA, it plays Famicom like a champ. A little hard to get the NES out. But it's got a 60-pin Famicom connector, so you can play Famicom. And you can play on the EverDrive is like amazing on it. Scanline generators, no lag, love it. So, but it's $200. It's way cheaper than getting a analog. But yeah, analog. I do wish that they made NES. Let's see. Let me get that back and play some Mercs. I have one great. Yeah, 189. So it's actually one of the best ways that, like, for me to play and enjoy Famicom games on the TV. With expanded audio, it's actually, you can do Famicom disk system on it, but so much more reliable to use FPGA for your FPS than actual real FPS hardware. I need to make a video about how the U.S. government is destroying my Nintendo games, and I have a friend in Japan where I buy Famicom disk system games from. And he sent me some that they work when he leaves the country, but they're erased by the time I get them. And what happens is, you know, a package is shipped from Japan and they x-ray them. So the new security rules, they x-ray your floppy disk, and it is just enough to mess with so probably about 50% of all of the disks that he sent me were erased. And I need to get someone to help rewrite them. So I was thinking about making like a video and saying something like, U.S. the government's destroying my Nintendo games. But, so, Famicom disk system, you know, I had, again, my friend in Japan, Dave in Japan, and he was telling me, like, it's fun, but it's also nothing but pain and disappointment. So... All right, so back to talking about Mercs. So Mercs is a Tate mode game. Some people think that, oh, it's Tate. No, it's Tate. Tate means stand up. Capcom, I think this is a little brutal that they have the two power-ups that I want. The flamethrower and then the spread shot. And they're both fought at the same time, but... So, I like the fact that they sort of kept a little bit of the vertical orientation. And I like the fact that, So, Sega's big pitch for the Genesis is bringing arcade games home. Sega does what Nintendo don't. And they took definitely, this was very impressive. This was one of the earlier Genesis games, and I definitely do remember being impressed by this back as a kid. Again, just the weirdness of like, okay, I'm being shot by a tank and somehow I survive. But, you know, video game logic. And some Band-Aid. And meat. Glad the meat gave me energy back from being hit by a tank shell. And the screen crash. I didn't even know, like, what kind of, like, bomb that you use. You sort of, like, there's an explosion that's before you. You don't even have to kill them all. You just run past them, some of them. You guys gonna come? Oh. Motorbike guy. So, Mercs for Genesis, it has a pretty impressive conversion. But, again, the arcade version had 2 3-player combos, or simultaneous action. So, Apocalypse Minister, interesting thing is, you're pointing out that my cat is a chunky boy. YouTube mediation actually, like, held that in the queue, so he is not offended. Of course, he's got to be right here. Alright, so I played some Mercs. Let's see, I'll start the next level. How's the audio level? I'm trying to have my voice and the game still be going. Okay, that's enough Mercs. I did Mercs. Next, Forgotten Worlds. Heck yeah. Back. I have my ROMs in some cartridges because I also use the same ROM sets on my EverDrives. So, has anyone actually played the... Okay, definitely save your finger right here and turn on auto fire. So, instead of spaceships, we got dudes who can sort of fly around and shoot in different directions. But the arcade version of this had a big spinner, and I thought it was really cool that Sega was able to bring home the awesome Capcom animation and Capcom's weird thing for Zennies. Let's see. Of course, we had a a little bit of Beebs, which you laid down. Let's see. Can't say no to the auto-tracking missile, and I got enough for armor. And health. Apocalypse Monster. I give him a snack. I did give him a snack. I also have him, yeah, I feed him about 3 times a day. A little bit in the vet said that I had to, you know, he's a carbohydrate addict. So I would give him too much dry kibble, and there's like, no, you got to give him the wet cat food. So I do, but if he knows that he's going to get the dry kibble, he'll starve. So he's like a kid that will like not eat Doritos. So like, you know, he'll hold out on good stuff to hold out for Doritos. But I myself enjoy Doritos, so I can't particularly complain. So they also have the, you know, the arcade version, but I do love a decent port. Especially, you know, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and this is one that I used to play as a kid. I'll just call it is. The fireball shooting orifice. This is, I guess the term I would use is yonic imagery, which is the female equivalent of phallic imagery. Some weird Giger womb-looking uterus of death. You gotta be careful and not... You know, I can use medical terms and talk about how that was some weird Giger imagery and yonic imagery and some... the female equivalent of phallic. So, I think one of the reasons why the home version of this game is so awesome... Oh yes, give me that power booster. And regain the power, and yep, increase my life pack. Ooh, I should have gotten that first. And I'm gonna stick with the auto tracking. I enjoy that. Oh, I should have gotten the armor. So the arcade version had a spinner. 2 spinners that you would like press down and turn around, and yes. So to simulate that, the cat is not being... He's getting up on the counter, which he knows he's not... Down! Sorry. I don't like it when he's on my counter. So they have a little weird acceleration. So you don't like, it's not an automatic thing. So you, as you hold the circle, you spin a little faster. And speaking of phallic imagery, sometimes a giant worm is just a giant worm. Look at that, parallax scrolling. That is some 16-bit goodness right there. Ouch. Let's see, I gotta kill the giant dragon dude, and then the giant screaming warlord guy. Love that. And we're coming up on the dragon. So, I guess the cool thing about this era of games is, you know, it was before Capcom, back when they were intimidated by Nintendo, and they weren't comfortable bringing their own games to Sega hardware by themselves. And so they had plausible deniability, saying, you know, we licensed this. We didn't make Strider for Genesis. Sega did. They licensed it from us. So Strider for NES is entire. Oh man. Really? Okay. Enough of that. Forgotten Worlds. Glovelius. Play a little bit of that. Master System. I like how fast the Analog Pocket is. And the dock is decent. I really enjoy the dock. I thought I wasn't going to get one, the dock. But I like to get nice HDMI capture for this. And this is, you know, I don't have a FPGA Master System. Actually, that's not true. I have a, I got one right here. 1 second. So, to record, I mean, you either got the Sega Power Base converter, where they actually just took a Master System and made a mini Master System board, which fits right on top of the Genesis Mark 1's shell. And then there's also the Mega SD. So this is an FPGA solution. It's got an FPGA Sega CD. But since they already got the FPGA core, they were like, let's do Master System as well. And Master System with the FM sounds. So, yay for that. Looks good. I want one of those. So, yeah. I like Terra Onion. I like EverDrive. FPGA hardware is... decent when you actually combine it with real hardware. Anyway, so back of this. Thou art heading into the let's see. So let me reset the core and show you. Actually, quit the game. So this is one, oh wait, no, Rock Band World. Open FPGA, console, Master System. I like how quickly you get back into the games. Compile 1988, reprogrammed game by Sega 1988. So Compile was a separate company and they made games for Japanese personal computers. And at the time they were separate. And then Sega, but they also so it said reprogrammed by Sega. However, Compile might have ported it themselves by Sega hiring them to do so. Yeah, I have a Super SD for my PC Engine, and it's amazing. Okay, fighting the giant snake. So Glovelius for Master System, not only is it inspired by Zelda 1, but it's also inspired by Zelda 2. Yes. It really is incredible that there are so many awesome games that were made in the 80s and 90s on 8 and 16-bit hardware. Forget that. We're just going to go down here. And I didn't have them all, and now I do. So, or at least access to them. So that's one of the nice things about my channel is I want to encourage people to play 8 and 16-bit games and awesome hand-drawn 32-bit ones, and even some 3D 32-bit games. It's weird how they have some I am Randar for 150 gold. I can increase thy power for thee. Yes. Return here again if thou needeth. Yeah, I can either enjoy the games that I actually experienced, or get to enjoy the games that I didn't get to experience. A lot of Americans did not get to play a Sega Master System, so it's like this entire alternative. Ooh, okay, we got a 3D one here. Or PC Engine. I envy the people that have never played TurboGrafx 16 before. Now they can. Ooh, 7 watching now. Nice. So another cool thing is, so Sega had the FM soundboard in Japan, and so it had an optional sound chip that you could actually put in the Master System, or Sega Mark III, and take advantage of some sweet, sweet FM synth. Okay. Get you, Cartoon Bat. Shoot. So, I think this is actually getting the optional FM synth in there. So everyone, so what I'm gonna do is live video every. Again, why do people live underground? I don't get that. This Bible will increase thy gold. Sure. That is such poorly translated Japanese. Yeah, they probably said something like, you know, magic book, holy book, and so it got translated into Bible. But Bible in the US means the Bible. Crows. Alright, so played some Gavelius. The next one that I'm going to include is, so if you ever get, is Tetris for Mega Drive. So Sega made a version of Tetris. So the legal rights for Tetris is, let's just say, an interesting story, and they actually made a pretty fun movie. Probably not the most, you know, it's let's see, I need a TE. You know, I got Tetris on here. Oh, okay. I have it on Japanese. I have mine different. So I got my Sega Mega Drive, Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive Japan, Mega Drive stuff translated, utilities and other stuff, and Mega Drive Indie New. So Sega Mega Drive Japan, Tetris. So Sega was they thought that they were legally licensing Tetris from Eorg, and so this is Academy Soft Eorg, licensed to Tengen, sub-licensed to Mirrorsoft, try to get the rights, and they apparently didn't actually have all the. So it's a fight between Mirrorsoft and Hank Williams of Bulletproof Software to get the rights to Tetris. And so this is Sega Tetris, and I got to be careful because one of them drops automatically and then the other one rotates. There we go for the rotate. But I don't like having the A button drop automatically. So my brain is hardwired for Nintendo Tetris. So whenever I have to unlearn how to play Tetris, it is mentally challenging. So Sega made an arcade game based on Tetris, Sega Tetris. Interesting that the Tengen Tetris for NES. Ooh, again, I wish I would have slid that. Maybe we can slide this under. Do you like this version or Nintendo's Tetris better? My brain is hardwired with thousands of hours of gameplay of Nintendo Tetris, so I can literally play Nintendo Tetris without thinking about it. This is intrinsically, I mean, this is like a good version of Tetris, but I'm horribly screwing up because my brain is not wired for this button layout. So, anyway, what I'm saying is, the Tetris movie is actually really entertaining. It's on. I wish that it was on any other streaming service besides Apple TV Plus. But if you know anyone that has Apple TV Plus, it is definitely an entertaining view. And it's you don't think that a movie about corporate corruption and the KGB are a bunch of dicks, which is historically accurate. In the 1980s. Again, I'm not doing well. I'm completely hosed. But, so this is a game published by, a non-Sega game, Republic. Oh, come on, do I get even one? No, I'm hosed. I'll try one more, but I have to, think about it. Wasn't there a Tengen version? Yes. So, didn't Nintendo have two versions? So the Famicom had a version of. Could go run it, but you know what? Forget it. This is live. I'm actually going to do that. I'll be right back. So, Tetris. The first home version of Tetris is this right here, or the first one that we know. So the first one on video game hardware is Famicom BPS Tetris. Hank Williams, this is the first one, and the Tetris movie is all about how he thought Tetris would be an incredible fit for the Game Boy. And so they were getting the licensing right. Here's the American version and the Japanese version. So this is Famicom Tetris, Nintendo Game Boy Tetris, I have a light ring, so I have to hold it at a different angle. Then Nintendo made this, which is sort of the NES port of Game Boy Tetris. But the thing is a Famicom version? Yes, it is. This was published by Nintendo and programmed by Nintendo. This was made by Bulletproof Software. They have different button layouts. So their one button is an instant drop. It's like the Genesis version. And my brain plays this. My brain does not play this. I have it, but I just keep dropping the wrong things because I keep thinking rotate instead of drop. And then there is also Jalico Tetris Plus that I have. There's also a Tetris 2. But this. Okay. So Sega, Mirrorsoft was a competing licensee of Tetris. And this is a bootleg version of Tengen Tetris. So Nintendo and Bulletproof Software teamed up and they took Atari, which is Tengen, to court. And they said that, hey, we actually licensed Tetris from the Soviets and we have the licensing rights. And so you need to pull Tengen Tetris. So there are Tengen cartridges, and if you ever get a copy of Tengen, I played the hell out of Tetris on Game Boy. Yes, you did. And that is the big thing, is that initially they made Super Mario Brothers, or Super Mario Land, as one of the first Game Boy games, but it was the Nintendo version of Tetris, which really, really sold people on. So it's like amazing thing. So, back to Tengen Tetris, also known as two-player Tengen Tetris, because there's a two-player version on here. So Atari lost a lawsuit and had to pull Tengen Tetris from the stores. So a copy, let's see if I have any Tengen cards. I'll be right back. I do. So you had a black, a Tengen cart manufactured by Tengen, compatible with Nintendo, not legally licensed by it. But Tengen, I had black Tengen Tetris. Yeah. And if you did, you could probably sell it for several $100s these days because it actually was pulled. So here's the crazy thing. So this is, legit. Alex Patrinoff got paid for this. These are legit. Alex Paginov got paid for these. However, the game stream Sega thought they had the publishing rights, but ends up, because of the lawsuit, they didn't. And Tengen Tetris, back to camera. Boy, I should do a video about all the different legal versions of Tetris. So this is a bootleg of a bootleg version of Tetris. So this is a bootleg version of Tengen Tetris. And because of this, there are actually more copies of the bootleg than they are actual legal carts in circulation. And since the legal cart is of questionable thing, you don't know. So, like, what is real? What is real? Is the bootleg of the bootlegs were more popular, the legit version, because even the regular version is not technically legal. Okay, so enough. I divulged from that. Let me get back to play some Tetris. Okay, let me try to not screw it up. So, the Nintendo music on Tetris is way better. The Nintendo Tetris is just such a classic. But Sega actually officially released this with years later on the Mega Drive Mini 2 and the Mega Drive Genesis 2, or the Sega Genesis Mini 2, which I also have because I'm a nerd. So this is, again, it's requiring a lot more brain power because I need to actually think about which button I'm going to press without drop them instantly and screw it up. I should just not hit that drop button. But I'm addicted to the drop button. I have no decent place to place this. And I started screwing up. Anyway, Tengen Tetris. But on this live stream. 6 watching now. I want to get through. So I got through Gavelius. I got through Forgotten Worlds. Let's see. Art of Fighting. Sure, I'll do some Art of Fighting. And then I really want to get to Choplifter. Console, Genesis, run. Sega Genesis. Art of Fighting. Sorry about that. Sorry, live stream. I played a little bit of Tetris, and I didn't realize that I was broadcasting my face instead of Tetris. We're all nerds here. Put your game stream back up. Sorry about that. Again, second live stream ever. So, Art of Fighting for Genesis. This is, again, reprogrammed by Sega, 1994. Better than World Heroes. But for some reason, Sega thought that they needed to port Neo Geo games to the Mega. I'm more of a Street Fighter guy, and I'm more of a King of Fighters and Fatal Fury. But this is a game ported, reprogrammed by Sega. That has got some decent synth. One of my favorite things that I've heard about the Genesis is it's a FM sound system that you can also play video games on. And definitely because of the YM sound chip on it. Ooh. Oh, he got me. Why does that have no smoking? I get it that it's on this, shrine. I guess we're fighting on the Japanese shrine. But for some reason, SNK didn't want to make, I guess they didn't make their own version, but they're okay for licensing other versions. Because who in their right mind will never have enough power to do, they could have handled so much, they handled so much with handled sound, but I actually do like, I'm not paying attention to my butt. But what I want to get to is, so they did Art of Fighting. I guess I'm going through my list. So, core setting, load cartridge, Cyberball for some reason. Cyberball. Football in the 21st century. And so this is a, I guess I'll go for the Miami Terminators. An arcade sports game. Great music, but the sound effects suck. Yes, probably. Yeah, I agree. So, an arcade version of football made by Atari, but brought to the Genesis, personally ported by Sega. And the fun thing about it is when you get if you don't get a first down, I have to go for a pass. I don't like sports games except for 8-bit. Ooh, yes! Got one. Point is that the ball has that little has a little beeping there, The ball explodes and destroys your player, and I actually really like the idea. Oh. Anyway. So, Cyberball, brought to the Genesis by Sega. Go for medium. See, the ball blows up. Anyway. But I want to get to Choplifter. So Sega's first console is the SG-1000. And there was a big deficit of game systems. So licensed by Broderbund Software, copyright Dan Gorland, reprogrammed by Sega. So this is Choplifter. So I made a 1 minute, what I call the 1 minute review, and I sort of made a joke. So I actually did play this on the, so this was originally an Apple II game, and my stepdad had an Apple II. And I just killed a guy by landing on him. So my joke about this is Sega is making like a commentary on the brutality of war, because you fly a helicopter into enemy territory and you're incredibly death prone, and so are the people that you're trying to rescue. So this is just brutal. Let's see, analog NP Noirs, US $500. The ABS isn't so bad. No, ABS isn't bad. ABS is a great deal. It's less than, or $200. It's very, very worth it. So this is Choplifter, originally an Apple II game made, ported to Sega Home SG-1000 software by Sega. They also made an... Actually, let me look and see if I have the arcade version. If some people have made a... no, they haven't ported... okay, 16A. Nope. No one's made... 16B, not seeing any Choplifter. So there's no Chop. So everything runs great on the Analog Pocket, but doesn't quite have just the amount of emulation, has thousands of arcade games. So the selections is just ridiculous. So you have high quality, but not a lot of much selection. So Sega made Choplifter for Master System. Yeah, Dan Gorland, 1982, programmed by Sega. But the thing about the original analog, and is that one where they still actually had like, originally the whole analogs thing was they were using like original chips. So my father was in the U.S. Army ROTC. He had a classmate that got drafted or basically went to Vietnam early on and got sent home in a pine box. And so my dad, his draft number was like 8. So it was a mathematical certainty that he was going to go to Vietnam. or he was gonna be drafted. So he did what a lot of people did, is he joined the Army and got into Army ROTC and actually became a low-level officer. And he spent the Vietnam War training people at Fort Bragg. And he studied his butt off and didn't want to get foreign deployed. So he, stayed in the U.S., but one of the things that he would do is train people on helicopters, on getting in and out of the helicopter. And over the years, he hated it because there were absolute death traps. And you would, no door keeping you from looking out, and they would like bank and roll, and you'd be like looking straight down or straight up. So in my review, I sort of said, yeah, choplifter. Or again, the reason why my dad doesn't want to get into a helicopter. So I have 12 loaded, 15 safe, 5 dead. So the analog NT Noir was made for purists to use actual NES hardware in the first iteration. I need to do a video on, I actually think the ultimate Nintendo system is the AV Famicom. So, the AV Famicom, made by Nintendo, 60-pin connector, but you could use an adapter to play American games on it, 72 pins using an adapter. But you could use NES style. Oh shoot, that guy. But you can use NES style controllers. And they all died. So this video that I'm working on, Reprogrammed by Sega, one of the hardest parts is to figure out, so there are games that were, original arcade games that were made by Capcom. Oh, and they're all dead. I use my AV Famicom on CRT, as you should. So, Choplifter for SG-1000, Choplifter for Master System. And the next game on the list is Cheeky Cheeky Boys for Genesis. So, Cheeky Cheeky Boys, side-scrolling platform action game, originally released in arcades by Capcom. And then Sega hired Visco to make a 16-bit Sega Genesis version. Sega would then later go on to purchase Visco. So, again, Compile was separate at the time. BIT, whatever. I don't like it. You don't want to use a... So this was originally a Capcom arcade game, and the home port was made by Visco, but after Sega hired them to do it, and Sega published it, and they actually used the whole Reprogrammed by Sega label on it. So this whole Reprogrammed by Sega was not even like a big label, it's just a little thing that they put on the home screen. But if I had to worry, like, you know, does this technically, you know, was it Sega independent? Were they, you know, so they were a third-party company at the time that was hired by Sega, but Sega owns them now, so that's close enough. It's sort of like, do you consider HAL Laboratories? Because HAL Laboratories was a separate company by Nintendo, but Nintendo had a really tight relationship with them, and then, like, traded, like, Iwata, then not only went to work for Nintendo, but, like, went to lead Nintendo. So, I figured, and there's my cat walking in front of my camera again. If it was murky like that, I might as well just, you know, for the sake of good video, put it in there. So, cheeky boys. Again, I barely knew about this as a kid, but it's bright, it's colorful. Ooh, look at that heat ripple effect. I believe this was, oh shoot. Also known as Wonder Twins. And sometimes when games would get brought to Sega, they would change the names. Same thing with, like, Wonder Boy. And, I didn't know you can jump up there. Grab the above ground pearl. I guess what do you call that when they have, like, these segmented, I'll just call them segmented sprites. Reminds me of Wonder Boy. Yeah. It definitely does. And all the different versions of Wonder Boy. I believe this may be 2 players simultaneous. Oh, Magic Bomber. Forgot to use my Magic Bombs. Come on, volcano dude. Nice. Oh, so we got some 8-bit, no, 16-bit ladies. Much better than 8-bit ladies. Some 16-bit ladies. Items can be obtained here. What would you like to purchase? You take the blue pill, and you stay in Wonderland. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Okay, so you're flying with a magical flying hat. So you're getting, you said Wonder Boy vibes. Definitely, I'm also getting like Konami vibes of like little penguins with guns. Oh wow, a Japanese Oni in a cloud. And my cat's yelling at me. So it's always interesting when a little bit of like Japanese culture and mythology leaks into the, you know, the game developers forgot to turn it into jelly donuts. And Cat, I am live streaming right now. Do you hear him? Do you hear him? Yes, cat. Cheeky Cheeky Boys. Okay, so I did Cheeky Cheeky Boys. I did Choplifter. Darwin 480. So that is Mega Drive Japan. Darwin 4080. What's Kid Icarus doing here? Exactly. So, actually, let me reset this to show you all. Sega. Darwin 4080. Data East. Reprogrammed game by Sega 1990. So, a vertical shooter. Definitely inspired by Xevious. But you, like, pick up different weapons, and they have these little DNA blasts, and it actually, like, mutates your ship. So, it's the pretty unremarkable spaceship shooter. That's actually pretty hard. Yes, my cat. Yes, my cat does want my attention. He's actually, so it is 7:34. He is fed automatically at 8 o'clock, so I guess I could keep playing until everyone stops watching, or at least he gets food. That'd be a good thing to end on. The cat getting food. Anyway, so Darwin 4080, pretty darn tough. I don't really have that much to say on it. It's there. It's a shooter. Your ship changes with power-ups. But my question is, like, why did Sega... So, the Mega Drive was not that popular in Japan. I'll have to look and see, like, did this get a European release? Because we didn't get it in North America. No, it's in my Japanese version, in my Japanese folder. So, again, I don't know if Mega Drive or if Darwin 4081 got released outside of Japan, but brought to the Mega Drive by Sega, and my question is, why? It's okay, it's hard, but I'd rather be playing trucks, is what I'm saying. Kind of bland. Yeah. Okay. Weird looking. Okay. That's about enough of that. Okay. World Heroes. Actually, since you're all watching, I'll have to... I'm actually going to switch from my Analog Pocket to my RetroPie. Actually, while this is loading, I'll go and get that. So, World Heroes, SNK a fighting game published for Neo Geo, originally are licensed from SNK. Sega version by Sega Midwest Development version. So I looked it up, and they're located in Chicago, or they were. So a respectable but a little underpowered home port of World Heroes made by an American Sega subsidiary in Chicago. I don't know. I think Mortal Midway might have also been in Chicago. So but like the question is why would you hire an American development studio and task them to bring this game to Sega's 16-bit hardware? Because, like, they did, Sega, Street Fighter was insanely popular. They did make Eternal Champion. I like Eternal Champion, but instead of making their own, I guess they just like, hey, we want Street Fighter games are a big deal. They got some big cartridges. I don't know the controls from him. But made in Chicago by Sega. Sounds a bit muffled, better than Art of Fighting. Yeah, that setting, that's a real place in Tokyo. You lack maturity, my friend. Okay. Okay, China. True. Dragon, who's nowhere near, absolutely not inspired by Bruce Lee. I guess Bruce Lee is dead by this point, so I guess he wasn't able to defend his likeness rights. Okay, I'm gonna get my butt hit at me. Anyway, so this is, let me show you guys. This is my RetroPie. It's a RetroPie 4. And turning off the analog pocket. Let me switch systems. Thank you. I used to have a driver for it that could actually turn it on or off. So now I am switching. I was playing with my 8-bit DOE Bluetooth, the SN30 Pro, and now I'm on my SN30 Pro for USB. Sometimes I like Bluetooth, sometimes there's just nothing like USB. You stick it in and it works. Yes, Kat, you are fed in less than 15 minutes. A little over 15 minutes. So, Popful Mail. So, let's see. I might as well read my script, because I have my script up here. Popful Mail is a side-scrolling action-adventure role-playing game featuring a side-wielding protagonist and many animated hand-drawn cutscenes. Originally the NEC PC Engine game by Nihon Falcom. Sega themselves made a Sega Mega CD version and intended to turn it into a Sonic the Hedgehog related game, started a new hero. I believe it was a female wolf, which is a little weird considering it's a completely different genre than Sonic the Hedgehog games at that point. So, but the plans fell through and Working Designs took over the Sega produced version and actually finished it. So it is pretty crazy when you consider the vast differences between the gameplay, art style, and everything between Sega, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Popful Mail. So this is Popful Mail, original game by Falcom, reprogrammed game by Sega, 1994, and English translation by Working Designs. So, weird. So, this was going to be a Sonic the Hedgehog.
You little criminals! Surrender!
It was going to be a Sonic the Hedgehog game. I don't like that they actually used like an actual button on the, like the little Tanuki guys. So yeah, this was, I guess, gonna be like a, I don't know which Sonic the Hedgehog character, but she was supposed to be like Knuckles or like Blaze the Wolf. I don't know. I'm not that into. I like Sonic, the games. Not into like the expanded Sonic cinematic universe.
Help! What was that?
Oh, 90s.
Sounded like.
90s acting.
Hey, are you blind or something? Up in the tree, you dunderhead.
Of course, you can't skip it.
Huh? Oh. What in the world are you doing up there?
Well, there were all these monsters chasing me. There must have been 100 of them, and they had bulging eyes and huge teeth, and then they chased me up this tree, and then the spider dropped down. He almost killed me, but I cut his thread.
But I
have
do
a
love
pocket
those
knife, you know,
hand-drawn sprites.
And then, well, I don't think it's safe to come down. Oh, by the way, I'm Slick. Well, actually, Slick Jr. the Third, but you can call me Slick. I'm from the village at the bottom of the jungle. Say, can you give me some help here? Like,
so for anyone
today?
new, I'm
Slick,
working on a
why'd you leave your
video
village in the first
on
place?
Sega
Hey, I was
games,
just looking for a
games
little fun and adventure,
ported by
but I
Sega,
guess my pocket knife just doesn't cut it out
and
here.
Popful
Say,
Mail,
why do you take me
originally a
with you?
Japanese
I bet you
PC
have lots
game,
of adventures.
and
Why else
they
would you have
were
such a huge sword?
porting it to Sega or Mega CD in
excuse
Japan,
me? I
and they
think you're
wanted to turn it
confused.
into a
I'm
Sonic the
bounty hunter,
Hedgehog
not a
related game, which
babysitter,
is
bub.
weird
You're on your
because
own.
this is a, you know, side-scrolling Adventure of Link similar game. Not Sonic the Hedgehog like at all. So I guess maybe they were gonna turn her into Knuckles or someone else, or I don't know. But the Sega version, you know, the difficulty is just like also like physical copies of this are might as well be like actual gold would be cheaper. This is like a several very, very expensive game. But at least, like, you know, it's a decent 2D game that is not full motion video, but brought to Sega hardware by Sega. So, for anyone who joined, this is Jacob of 8-Bit Joystick. I am working on a video that should be out on Saturday about Reprogrammed by Sega, games brought to Sega hardware by Sega themselves. And earlier on in this live stream, I did Strider for Genesis, Ghouls and Ghosts for Genesis and Master System, Double Dragon for Master System, Mercs, Forgotten Worlds, Govelius for Master System, Tetris for Mega Drive, Art of Fighting for Genesis, Cyberball for Genesis, Choplifter for Master System, Cheeky Cheeky Boys for Genesis, Choplifter for SG-1000, Darwin 4081 and World Heroes, and special mention Popful Mail. So does anyone have a request of anything they'd like to see? Let's see. TurboGrafx has the FM version. Yeah, but I do like the hand-drawn animation sprites and but yeah, it's weird that this was almost a Sonic the Hedgehog game. With swords. Five watching now. Okay, 10 minutes to go until my cat is fed. How about the Analog Pocket? There is a ton of options. I think I'll switch back to that. Good point. Okay. Quit RetroArch. Remember, kids, always shut down your systems appropriately. Okay. All right, back to the Analog Pocket. Let's see. A ton of options. Yeah. There are. So you have your Open FPGA, you got your cartridges. Currently, I have, you know, I might as well. I was talking about Tetris. So I have, might as well do some good old Nintendo Tetris. Let's see. Tetris Revision 1. So there's the DMG color, there's Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Light, I guess Virtual Boy, and then Analog. So you say a lot of cores on the NT. Yeah, the big thing about the Analog Pocket, it is so slick. So they actually have 2 FPGA cores and the Pocket OS. So let me hold on here. Pop off the cartridge. So I actually have my little Cup O Game Boy games that I'm playing. So my EverDrive. So I can do EverDrive. So you got your FPGA in your FPGA. So let's see. What else am I playing? Rockman. Bubble Bobble for Game Boy. But the cool thing about it is it's fast. It has 2 FPGA cores. The first FPGA core is the big one for playing the games. But let's see. I guess I talked about Strider. So there's the original version. I might as well play the original arcade games in the remaining time. This game is used in all countries excluding the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. So I guess I'm not. Oh, look at that Tate mode verticality. Tate mode action. Of course, of course I'm gonna win because, like, I got the fast bullets and the bad guys got the slow bullets. Mega Twins. So this is the arcade version of Cheeky Cheeky Boys. A game is used in all countries, excluding the United States. So Capcom love throwing coins. I'm actually really glad that Willow is on here, or is available on the, because I love the arcade version. One of my favorite Capcom games, and it's a shame that never got any decent home ports. Well, I mean, the home arcade game, the home Willow games are good, but they're just completely separate games. The actual arcade game never actually came out. Boy, look at that. That heat effect. We were able to get that on the Genesis. Okay. Load arcade game. Forgotten Worlds. I have to do a weird finger thing, so I have to hold down the button so it doesn't auto-fire. In the arcade version, you hit auto-fire by, I mean, there was no auto-fire, but like you press the button, there's a spinner, and you press the spinner down to fire. And basically just like sat your palm on it. I don't know why they just didn't make it auto-fire all the time. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. So, 1 minute to go until my cat is fed. So the Analog Pocket does have a pretty decent CRT filter, which has a ton of options. However, a lot of... Oh, there he is. Okay, let me stop that. There's my cat receiving his kibble supplement. He waits all throughout the day to now finally get his kibble fix. So it's a magic time. It wakes him up. He'll run out at 8 o'clock, for 8 o'clock. So anyway. That's a perfect time to sign off. This is 8-bit joystick. Stay awesome. Play retro. Does anyone like that? I hope that people like that. That's sort of a stupid little thing that I did to amuse myself, just to figure out how to sign off. Oh no, I can't feed my feed your babies by hand. So he is a let's see. So basically, if I feed him by hand, he will wake me up in my sleep. So the only way for me to get any decent sleep is to have the kibble dispense at a time, and it is just dependent on a time, because he would freaking wake me up in my sleep, and then I wouldn't really feel like feeding a kitty. Other cool thing, drop frames. Oh, there we go. Drop frames is 0. Oh, that's cool. Look at that. Nice. Anyway, so this was, I consider this a successful live stream. I actually had people that joined in. My previous one, I didn't, not a smart cat, no. I would tell him, on the grave of Dr. Pavlov, I will not reinforce this negative behavior. I do not want him to wake me up. So by getting his kibble at a particular time, we both know that he gets his kibble allotment, but he doesn't have to try and wake me up. But this was a fun live stream. Thank you, Matt Kitts. Thank you, Apocalypse Minister. I will have to go through the... let's see. We also saw the cat-like at the beginning of this. So when I did my... so I'm learning YouTube. I've been doing it less than a year. But I really think that a live stream works better as an appetizer than a dessert. In the past, I thought I made a pretty decent video on the Essential NES, and then no one watched it, or it didn't have the reach that I would have liked, because as me, I did a live stream afterwards. So hopefully this works, and stay here on Saturday, I'll be done with my video on Reprogrammed by Sega. Have a good one. This is 8-bit joystick. Stay awesome. Play retro.